you've been through, why you got scars. Since you walked through the door, I've been trying to reach you, 'cause I feel you. What's the story to tell? What's the story behind the mountain you're trying to climb? Think I've heard it.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, or if you are brand new here, what's up? I am Jen. I am sharing another What's for Dinner video with you guys today. It's a little bit different because all of these are crock pot recipes. I'm super excited to share this with you though, because right now I am loving the crock pot. It's awesome any time of the year, but this time of year we're all loving that cozy, comforting food, and the crock pot just makes life easier when you have a ton of other holidays and festivities and stuff going on. So I figured it was the perfect time to share all these recipes with you guys. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the video. First up is going to be some slow cooker pork carnitas. I am super stoked for this recipe because I've never cooked these myself, and I'm always excited to have something new to throw into the dinner rotation, especially for an easy crock pot meal during this time of year where crock pot is like my go-to. But I have a 2-pack of pork tenderloins here. I was hoping to get a bigger pack than this, but this is what I got in my Walmart grocery order. It's right under 2 pounds. I was hoping closer to like 3 pounds, but this will work. So I'm going to toss in the pork tenderloins, and to it I am going to add some Badia Complete seasoning, some cumin, some organic seasoned salt, 2/3 cup of some orange juice, a couple teaspoons of lime juice, some minced garlic, and then they were out of fresh jalapenos for my grocery order, but I had some of these sliced jalapenos in the fridge, so I just diced up a couple of those. We're not real big on heat in the fam, so I didn't want it to be overpowering, so I don't have a ton there. Also going to be adding 1 small onion that I already have chopped here, and then some cilantro that I have chopped here too. Not a ton. I'm going to be adding fresh when we are done also, but just diced up a little bit to cook it with. I'm going to throw all of this in the crock pot and let it go on low for about 6 to 8 hours. Okay, so I have the pork tenderloins in there, and just for the record, the original recipes that I pulled this inspiration from, I was actually looking at 2 different ones. I'll link both of those down below. You guys know I loosely follow recipes just to make it fit my way of eating, and that's what I've done here. But I believe both of them called for like 2.5 to 3 pounds for the pork, and I believe that they recommend doing a pork shoulder roast, but for less calories and to fit my macros, I'm using pork tenderloins. Just gonna cover it with some complete seasoning, some cumin. You guys know I don't measure seasonings either. I just measure with my heart. A little bit of seasoned salt, 2/3 cup of orange juice, splash of some lime juice, onions. That was 157 grams of onions to be exact. It's garlic, jalapenos. Look at that beautifulness, and of course it already smells divine. So I'm just gonna pop this on low, let it cook for about 6 to 8 hours. Okay, this lighting looks absolutely horrible, but the pork is done. I just took a fork and shredded it up. It's super tender, falling apart. You could honestly eat it just like this, but for pork carnitas, the recipe calls for either broiling it or browning it in a pan and getting like nice crispy edges on all of the meat. So I am going to do that. It says just to throw the juice and the meat right on a baking sheet and just broil it for a few minutes. So that seems a lot easier to me than browning it, sauteing it in a pan. So I'm just gonna throw this on a baking sheet, and then I'm gonna broil it for a few minutes. I had it in the oven under the broiler for a few minutes. I did it like a few minute increments at a time just to make sure that I didn't overchar it. And you can see it got nice and crispy on the edges, those nice little brown bits. Now we're about to plate it up. Deliciousness all plated up here, and the Mexican slaw that I made up earlier is smelling awesome. I'm excited to try this. I'll keep you guys posted on how it is. I made some sweet potato fries to pair with it, and I covered them in some of this Noble Made Classic barbecue seasoning. Can't wait to try that. Then I have some G. Hughes sugar-free ketchup here. The pork carnitas I just threw on these carb counter street tacos. 0 net carbs, and they're only 20 calories for each one. So this entire dinner is coming in at 368 calories, 35 grams of protein, and 30 net carbs. Next up, we have a crock pot chicken pot pie. Super stoked for this recipe. I'm sure it's going to be delicious. We'll go ahead and jump right into the ingredients. I am using some of these boneless, skinless chicken breast tenderloins. I'm also going to be adding some some boneless, skinless chicken thighs. Thighs are a little higher calorie, but they're so delicious, have an insane amount of flavor. So I want to go ahead and throw some of them in there. Also, I have 2 bags of this Good & Gather organic mixed vegetables. It has carrots, corn, green beans, and peas. You can, of course, use fresh if you want, but I'm using these, and they have awesome macros. They are only 50 calories a serving, 2 grams protein, and 8 net carbs. So those will be awesome. And then we're going to throw in 1 bag of cauliflower about an hour before it's done, and I'll show you what I do with this. And then I have some onions and celery here. You could just throw these in whole like this if you want to make it easier, but I'm actually going to saute these down so they get like nice and soft, and you always get that extra flavor when you brown stuff. So I'm going to brown these up here in just a second. Seasonings, I'm going to add some Badia Complete seasoning, of course, some Badia chopped onion flakes, and then some of the organic seasoned salt from Redmond. And then for my chicken stock, I'm going to be adding 2 of these Built broths. I just got these from Built. I tasted one yesterday just plain with water, and they are 10 out of 10 phenomenal. Have the most awesome like chicken soup flavor. Just, they were so good. They're 50 calories a piece, 10 grams of protein. I'm just going to mix both of these in some water and throw it in there. And then we will also need some milk a little later in the recipe, but I'll show you when I'm going to add that. So we're going to go ahead and get everything thrown in the crock pot, and then we will saute our onions and celery. Y'all, the smell of this is next level. I am so excited for this. I'm going to pop this on low for 4 to 6 hours. After about a few hours, I will show you the next step when I add the cauliflower in the milk. Okay, the chicken soup has been on for just over a few hours now, so I'm going to go ahead and add the cauliflower and my milk. I ended up doing 2 bags of the cauliflower just because I want it to be a little thicker. I'm using this kind of as a thickening agent to give it that pot pie feeling, so I ended up doing 2 bags. I just hit it with my immersion blender and it blends it up awesome. If you guys don't have one of those, highly recommend. And I'm also going to add my cup of milk. If you are not worried about calories, right here would heavy whipping cream would be your best friend. But your girl's got goals and we're keeping the calories lower, so I am going with the Fairlife fat-free milk, but you can use half and half or heavy whipping cream, milk, whatever you want to just kind of give it that little bit of creaminess. So I'm going to go ahead and add those in. I did shred the chicken just a little bit. It will shred more as it cooks, but I broke it up a little bit. Now I'm going to stir in the cauli mash and milk, and we're going to let it go for another couple hours. And you can see that beautiful consistency of the cauli mash, and I did add some complete seasoning in there while I was hitting it with the immersion blender just to make sure that every layer of the dish is seasoned well and it all blends awesome together. So we have our cauli mash in there. Go ahead and add our milk. We're gonna stir this baby up. All right, guys, I've just plated up the soup and I've paired it with some cornbread here, and I had it on low for probably 7-ish hours or so. It's definitely not as like thick and white and creamy if you would have used like heavy cream. And when I immersion blend the cauliflower, I should have actually done it a little bit more. I still left it like a little bit chunky, which is fine, which you can see it, but I'm sure it's still going to be delish. After we eat all this deliciousness, I will let you know how it is. It has awesome macros. This bowl is 294 calories. For the whole plate, it's 565 calories, 53 net carbs, which is mostly coming from the cornbread, and 43 grams of protein. And it's nice and cold out, so this is like a perfect, warm, comfy, cozy, comforting food. All right, guys, I just added a drop of this half and half in here just to see the creaminess that it would give it, and it's like absolutely perfect. I just added a drop in there, and I added that to my carb manager, of course, and I'm going to eat it with this cornbread, and it is going to be delish. Tonight's crock pot meal is some chicken taco soup, which your girl's like next level excited for. But we'll go ahead and jump into the ingredients. That way I can get all of this thrown into the crock pot and it can start doing its thing. I have here some chicken breast tenderloins, and I have a couple actual whole chicken breasts that I had in the freezer that I needed to go ahead and use up. I have this all weighed out and put into Carb Manager. Of course, I'll insert the macros at the end. I have some boneless, skinless chicken thighs just because they add great flavor, so we are throwing those in. For seasonings, we are going in in with, of course, the Badia Complete Seasoning, some ground cumin, some of the Flavor God Ranch Seasoning, some paprika. Then we're going to throw in a can of this Southwest corn with poblano and red peppers. Then we're going to throw in a can of the mild rotel with diced tomatoes and green chilies, some garlic. I have 1 onion here I'm going to chop up. Gonna throw in this entire block of this Greek cream cheese, 4 times more protein, half the fat. I'm not gonna add that right at the start. Once it's cooked for a few hours, then I will throw the cream cheese in. And then for my chicken stock, I am using some of this built broth. This stuff tastes like out of this world, super good. It has clean ingredients, 50 calories for one of these, 10 grams of protein, and will add an awesome flavor to the soup. Now all of that is going into the crock pot, but once it's done, then I'm going to throw some cilantro on there, as well as some of these tortilla strips that I picked up from Walmart, and I think that will be a great addition to the top of the soup once it's done. So first we're going to start by just dumping all of this in there, and you guys know I don't measure seasonings, I measure with my heart, so I just dump in there until my heart's content. Okay, so I went ahead and just prepped everything up. That way I can just literally dump it right in the crock pot and go. So I have my onion cut up here. I have 132 grams. I trimmed the fat off of my chicken thighs, got my cans open, and then the built broth, I added both packets into 4 cups of warm water, just mixed it up. Now I'm literally just gonna dump everything right in the crock pot. Are in there ready to do their thing, and I'm just going to pop it on low for probably about 6-ish hours or so. The soup's been on for just over 4 hours. I decided to go ahead and add another can of regular corn just because I want it to be a little heartier than I felt like it was, and I also added another can of the mild rotel. I'm getting ready to add that entire block of cheese, kind of shred up the chicken a little bit and let it go for another couple hours. Y'all, just look at this awesomeness. I've shredded the chicken. I added those extra cans earlier in the cream cheese, and it has all melted perfect. I did have the hubby taste it, and we added a little bit more seasoning. I added some of the Redmond's organic seasoned salt. This stuff is awesome. And then I added a little bit of parsley, and it's like spot on perfect. So we're getting ready to plate it up now. Chicken taco soup is all done, and I've just thrown some in a bowl here with some light daisy sour cream and some of these tricolor tortilla strips here. This entire bowl is 472 calories, 49 grams of protein, and 21 net carbs. The last crock pot meal in this video is going to be garlic Asian pork chops. I'm stoked to try this, guys. It sounds delicious. I have not made it before. I will link the original recipe down below that I found on Pinterest, but I have 2 packs of center cut pork chops here. The recipe calls for 6 medium boneless pork chops, but I have 8 here, and I'm just going to use that, and that'll be perfect for what we need. I will be adding to it some Badia Complete Seasoning, of course, some G. Hughes sugar-free ketchup, 2/3 cup, 1/3 cup of this coconut aminos. It calls for regular soy sauce, but this is what I use in place of it. 8 ounces of pineapple tidbits. It calls for 6 cloves of garlic. I'm just going to do like 20 grams or so of this already minced garlic. 1.5 teaspoons of ginger. I'm just going to use some of this stir-in ginger paste that I get from Aldi's. I love this stuff. It calls for a 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar. I am just going to use the Lakanto Golden Monk Fruit Sweetener in place of it. It's going to work perfect. I have a small onion here, and I'm just going to throw the pork chops, onion, and pineapple in the crock pot, and then I'm going to mix everything else up in a bowl and evenly spread it across the top, and I'll show you what it looks like once I get everything thrown in there. We've got our pork chops down there covered in some complete seasoning with the onions and pineapple tidbits on top. I've mixed all the sauce here. Everything else I just mixed together, and it smells like bomb.com already. I'm just going to pour it over this and pop it on low for 4 hours and let it do its thing. Pork chops are done in the crock pot. They were in there a little over 4 hours. They're super tender. I already tasted them. They are delicious. I put a little bit of the juice on the sweet potato too. I'm pairing it with the sweet potato and broccoli tonight. On the broccoli, I put some of this organic seasoned salt from Redmond's. This stuff is awesome. It's really good on broccoli too. And this deliciousness is coming in at 420 calories, 38 grams of protein, and 37 net carbs. All right, guys, and that's a wrap for another What's for Dinner video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you try some of these recipes. If you do, let me know down in the comments below. I loved all of them. They all turned out awesome. The only one that I would tweak would be the chicken pot pie. I would probably do half of the low-fat milk and half and half, just to give it that extra creaminess and richness that the low-fat milk doesn't by itself, just didn't give it. So I added that little bit of half and half, and it was awesome. Chicken taco soup was amazing, topped with those tortilla strips. That was a go-to. Everybody in the fam loved it. Pork chops were amazing. Definitely will be putting those back in the rotation. Pork carnitas were amazing. All of them were really good. Let me know down below if you guys tried them, or if you have any crockpot recipes that you absolutely love. I would love to try them, so definitely pop them down there. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram, make sure to hit me up over there. Subscribe before you leave and become part of the YouTube crew here for more yummy recipes and workouts and all the things. And as usual, thank you so very much for watching, and I will catch y'all in the next video.
Sometimes it really feels like I lose